Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining me this afternoon in the Locher Room. I'm Alan Locher. Michael Hyatt was born in England at age 10 and at age 10 immigrated to the United States with her mother and two siblings. She grew up first in Maryland and later Washington, D.C., and then studied acting at Howard University for her undergraduate degree and then NYU's Tisch School of the Arts for her master's. Michael has enjoyed memorable performances on stage and around the country, most notably in the critically acclaimed Ragtime on Broadway, and television fans and I recognize her from her roles on The West Wing, The Wire, The Kill Point, True Detective, Donovan, Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, and so many more. Hyatt also appeared in the Rodrigo Garcia feature film 4 Good Days opposite Glenn Close, The Comey Rule playing Loretta Lynch opposite Jeff Daniels and Holly Hunter, and the recent Warner Brothers feature film, The Little Things, opposite Denzel Washington and Rami Malek. Michael currently can be seen playing the brilliant role of Cissy Saint on the FX Snowfall. I've been a fan and watching its debut in the summer of 2007. I'm really excited that she's here today to talk about her incredible career and her role on the series. And for all you Snowfall fans watching today, business is booming in season 4. Pragmatic and hardworking Cissy raised her son Franklin primarily on her own, and this season she's partnering with her son on a real estate business. She has new hopes for her family and their future as the world continues to change around them. Snowfall airs tonight, every Wednesday at 10 p.m. Eastern and Pacific, and the next day via FX on Hulu. And tonight's the 4th episode, which I've already seen. Please welcome to the Locher Room, Michael Hyatt. Michael. I'm going to try that again. Did Michael freeze? I think we are going to, here she is again.
Okay.
There we go.
We're here.
It happens. Thank you so much for being here. I was having computer troubles myself earlier.
No worries, we're here. It's all well.
I love all the colors around you. That room is fabulous.
Thank you. I have this shed that the previous owners built for their children. It's a 2-story, little teeny weeny thing. And I recently just, it out of necessity, again, beautiful things come out of necessity, painted it and insulated it and so that this is where I do my auditions now. So my son is doing his work in the house and I can step back here and do this.
How old's your son?
He's 10.
10.
5th grade.
Oh, so has this been a difficult time with, has mom had to be a teacher too?
Yeah, mom has had to be a teacher too. But you know, I enjoy it. I can't always, because of work, I can't always devote all of my time to it. Yeah. And thankfully we have the support that we need to make sure that not only is he has the educational support or the school support, you know, the work for his math and stuff, but he's an only kid, you know, so we have the support that allows him to engage the social emotional aspect of this COVID experience, distance learning through COVID. And thankfully we have friends and family friends, you know, down the block there and down the block here so that we can safely, you know, do a safe picnic or do safe football and all of those things. So it's working. It's working.
Well, hopefully we're, you know, on the upswing. At 10 years old, can you tell if he has any signs of following in mom's footsteps?
At 10 years old, it is, I want to be an NFL football player.
Oh.
I want to play flag football, and I want to play Fortnite, and I want to play Among Us, and I want to be with my friends. And I'm like,
okay.
I love it. Uh, every now and then he sees a show on Nickelodeon or something. And he's like, "Ma, that's a kid. I want to do that. Why can't I do that?" And I'm like, "Dude, slow your roll. Enjoy your childhood and all of that stuff. It'll be there later." I wouldn't allow him to do it as a child.
No rushing. No rushing. So let's go back to your childhood. Do you remember, how long did you live in England?
I actually, you lovingly, you missed one little piece out, one major piece out. I lived in England for 4 years. And
okay.
Then, my family, my mother and father are Jamaican. And when they married, they moved from Jamaica to England and spent about 20 years there. In that time, they had us. And then when Jamaica earned its independence and was building up the country, many Jamaicans moved back to Jamaica, and that's what we did. So I lived in England for 4 years, and then in Jamaica for 6 years. And then I moved to the States, to Maryland.
And what do you remember about living in Jamaica?
Lots. It was, yeah, I remember school. I remember I had just gotten to, I guess I'd gotten up to like the 6th grade, to what would be junior high or at the end of elementary. I remember it was a very strong part of my life. I mean, I was 10 years old when I left Jamaica. I don't remember England very much, but my years of childhood from 4 to 10 was in Jamaica, and there are tons of memories. And
coming to the States from Jamaica, was it difficult for you?
Yes, it was. It was. It was, and that journey has absolutely. Sorry, I'm hearing the gardener on somebody's. Sorry, forgive me if you hear that.
That's okay. I hear the same thing out here.
Oh, there you go. So, yeah, it was. I remember one thing I do remember about leaving England and coming to Jamaica. I had a very Brit accent, and coming to Jamaica, I remember being made fun of because I didn't sound like Jamaican children. And then the same happened when I came from Kingston and came to Maryland, surrounded by white people. Well, there were a couple of Africans, but mostly white folk. And I was, again, another strange person. I had an afro. I had a language that they did not understand, and I came from a culture that they didn't understand. And so I was made fun of again. So during that journey, I learned how to adjust my language very quickly. So, as we talk about Jamaica, my Jamaican accent comes out, but then I know how to adjust my speech to accommodate the American audience that I am surrounded with.
And being so young and moving, I mean, and then being, seen as different because of, your language must give you a strong, sense of, strong skin really to live in.
You have to,
yeah.
and you just have to, and it certainly has served me in my life as an artist. The chameleon that you need to be to lend yourself to whatever role that you're playing, and the tough skin of you're a new kid on the block, you're auditioning for whatever, and you don't get it, and you give it up your all, and you get rejected, and you stand firm, and you keep moving. It has, the whole experience has served my life completely. Absolutely. Tough skin.
It's a great lesson. It's a great lesson for people watching to, we experience so many things as we grow up that you can take it and use it as a strength.
A mantra I was recently given: take what you have been given and turn it in to what you really want. Take whatever you have been given, everything that you have been given, the good and the challenging, and turn it into what you actually really want for yourself. because it
Love
all.
that. Love that. Well, so speaking of, who or what influenced you on becoming the amazing actress you are today?
Amazing. But I'm very bad with compliments. Forgive me. Okay. My first inspiration was my father. He was an actor in Jamaica, well, in England and in Jamaica, and I grew up going to theater with him. He did mostly stage. I went to the theater with him, and I would be backstage with him and watch him interact with the other artists. And then I would be front row when the show started. I would sneak to the front row and watch him larger than life. He was my male role model, and in well, I mean, as far as actors are concerned, there is an actor in Jamaica, Leonie Forbes, who she was just an immense diva, fabulous woman, brilliant artist. And those were my beginning in understanding what this thing of acting, this art of transforming oneself and completely surrendering yourself to this, telling this story, came from.
Do you remember vocalizing it to your dad and saying, I want to do this?
Absolutely not. It was an is. It just was what it was. You know, it wasn't until I was a terrible student in high school. Throughout school, I just didn't get the concept of the need for an A and the studying and all of that drama. And my mother is an alumni of Howard, and she was determined to, that I go to Howard. I had no interest really in college, but I got into Howard, and I remember going to the dean, the dean of fine arts, Carol Singleton, who said to me, "You got here because of your mother. Let's just be clear. But you will stay here because of you." And that was the moment that changed I walked into the theater there, and I fell into my understanding that this was my life. This was my being an artist. Yeah.
Was Howard the first time you took to the stage?
No, actually, while I was a teenager, while I was in high school, there was a West Indian performing group called the Caribbean Heritage Group. We would do dances, folk dances, singing, some acting, I believe. And we would travel the East Coast. We would go up to New York, or, I was in DC. We would go up to New York and the surrounding states. And perform. And that was really my first experience of performing in front of an audience. And it was just but I didn't see it as, that was a hobby. I thought I was going to be a child psychologist, right? And, with a D average, how do you do that? But I just didn't believe that it could be my profession, because I don't know why, it just wasn't. And then it just became that. It's interesting.
So before Howard, child psychologist was in your brain, was in your head.
Totally. The art that I was a part of was something fun to do, but I didn't see it as my calling in life at all.
And when you applied to Howard, was it for theater or to be the child psychologist?
Theater. It was for fine arts. Theater. Yeah, my major was fine arts. Yep, a bachelor.
Gotcha.
A bachelor in acting. Bachelor of Fine Arts in acting specifically.
And when did you make the decision to go to Tisch? What sparked to continue it?
What sparked my? I have long stories of many stories of how I fell into things. It was not a really well thought out decision. And I'm sorry, it's not romantic in any way.
It wasn't calculated. You weren't planning it.
No, boo. I was madly in love with this man who was messing with another sister. And basically she was auditioning for Tish, and he told me that she was auditioning for Tish. And I said to myself, really? All right, well, damned if I'm gonna let her audition for Tish, and I don't audition for Tish. And I auditioned and I got in.
That's amazing.
That was it.
What was the experience of Howard and NYU like for you?
Goodness. Well, I think, well, Howard was an incredibly, I didn't realize it then, but in hindsight, Howard was an incredibly immense cultural experience. Apart from the journey that one goes through, or that I went through in my undergraduate years of who am I? Who am I? Where am I? What am I? What is my journey in life? You know, that growing up thing. It was a wonderful cultural experience because I was surrounded by progressive, intense African people who were all just forward thinking and so very powerful. Then I go to NYU and I'm surrounded by predominantly white people. And it was only then that I realized just how important my African experience in my undergraduate school, undergraduate learning was, how very important. And even though I lived in DC and all of that, going to an HBCU, a historically Black university or college university, was an incredible, it made an indelible dent in my life, in my understanding of myself, in my grounding of myself, that served me tremendously when I stepped into the world.
Sounds like it was perfect that it was first.
It had, I am so, again, fell into it. It was not my intention, but yeah, I have been protected my whole life. And that was one of the ways. And then artistically, oh, wow. Howard was all about, well, again, because I didn't see it. I had to start from scratch at Howard. I had to learn how to be a student. I had to learn how to, I fell into it and I wasn't prepared. And all of this stuff, this scene study, and it was digging into asking me to surrender myself. And I didn't know how to do that, right? Or to, into the role. So it was the beginning of understanding this thing called acting. And then I stepped into graduate school, and they rip you of anything. They take away all of your tricks, all of your safety zones artistically, and force you to look at yourself, to dissect who you are emotionally, intellectually, physically, so that you can bring your full self to the art. And then they build you back up again and then say, go out and now be a professional actor.
Wow.
Tremendous.
Yeah, it sounds like those experiences totally shaped who you are now.
Absolutely.
Wow. March is, Women's History Month.
Mm.
Are there women who've had an incredible impact on your life?
Mm. Well, that would be my mother, no doubt about it, Vera Hyatt, Dr. Vera Hyatt. She was she's retired now, a museum director.
Say the word, though. I heard you say this in another interview, and I had not heard it, and I love it, what she is.
A museumologist, a museum director.
Yeah. I've never heard that. I love
yeah,
it.
really, yeah, most people don't. It's not a profession that is very popular, but it was beautiful. You know, I grew up when I was in Jamaica. I grew up in the National Gallery, the National Gallery of Jamaica, which was the main art museum, art gallery in Jamaica, and I was just surrounded by art and artists, right? And then when we came to this country, Mom worked for the Smithsonian in Washington, D.C. And so the Smithsonian became my playground, you know,
Wow.
the arts and industries. I actually worked at Air and Space Museum for many years. So I was surrounded by culture and art from all, you know, from my father and my mother's communities. And that helped shape my life. And not only that, but my mother is a diva in the best sense. And she taught me, she taught me how to be strong, how to claim your space, how to take up a room when you step in. You know, these are all things that she did effortlessly. And thank God I had her in my corner. I learned through osmosis. And again, it has served me in my life.
That's amazing. You talked about going to, when you arrived in Baltimore, that it wasn't a large Black community, or you know, in Maryland.
Mhm.
Was that difficult? You know, what did that sort of help teach you?
You know what? I remember, I mean, and I have tons of wonderful experiences. I was in, I lived in Aspen Hill, Maryland, which is just outside of Silver Spring, Maryland.
Okay.
And yes, it was absolutely predominantly white. But it wasn't a big deal for me. Again, I learned how to assimilate. I learned how to keep up with everybody. And I guess, though I don't remember much of it, my first 4 years of my life, I was in a predominantly white environment, right? Living in England. Mm-hmm. And it didn't matter to me. It didn't matter to me, to the child in me. Yes.
Right.
But I do remember playing in the playground in the apartment complex we lived in. And I was playing with a young man, a little boy. You know, I was 10. And I remember it was the first time that I heard the word nigger from this white boy. And when
right.
Huh?
Right, from somebody else.
From this young white boy. And when I heard it, I didn't know what it was, but there was something in me that knew something was wrong, which was interesting. And I just thought, was I just insulted? It was, I guess, his tone, his energy. When he said it to me, there was some disdain in his look. And I thought, did he just insult me? And that was my wake up to the difference, is the divide that this country, in many ways, this country had to offer. And that was strange. But I had, you know, you know, all my friends, actually, I remember my best friend at the time, Hala Zaror, she was from Iran, I think. And there was another one from Greece, you know, so it didn't matter.
It was a mixed culture. Yeah. You know, I look at you in this room and I see your mother because of the, you know, the colors and the whole, you know, it really, I was sitting here thinking of that afterwards. It really.
Yeah. My mother.
It's an homage to her.
My mom, Mommy has always worn an afro, right? And throughout my childhood, it was just who my mother was. And I've always until I came to this country. I wore an afro too. It didn't mean anything to me, but I didn't ever think that I would actually do that. I mean, that was like so Jamaica, that was so old school. And then recently, I started embracing my afro. I was in this phase of, I don't want the relaxed hair anymore. I don't want the perm. I don't want the straight European understanding of beauty anymore. I don't want to embrace that. So I would wear braids and I would cornrow my hair and stuff. But then I was asking, why do I need the length? That felt very European to me. So I was just breaking stuff down. And actually, there is a scene in Snowfall that will happen sometime. And I wear an afro. And when the barber was cutting my hair and I looked at it, I was like, wow, this is so my mother. This is so my childhood. Why can't this be my understanding of beauty? Why can't... And I was just like, this is how I was born. I'm done. I'm good. I'm good here. So I've just been rocking it since then.
Well, I love your hair right now, the short look.
Thank you.
It's great. You have had incredible roles. I mean, I'm going to put this up. Here we are: Snowfall, The Wire, The Little Things, The West Wing, Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, True Detective, Law and Order, The Kill Point, Comey Rule, Ray Donovan. Is there a way to have a favorite?
I don't think so. I mean, I think, no. Let's see. Hold on. No, I don't have a favorite. I certainly have some that, I'm glad it's over. But for the most part, for the most part, every opportunity I get to...
I think Michael's internet might have kicked her off. Hopefully she'll just sign back on. There she is.
And
I don't know. I think you were kicked. I think your internet just...
When
we're good.
Came down, it's up. Anyway, but are we good now?
Yeah, we're good. Yeah.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Any time I'm able to...
I can hear you.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Anytime I'm able to... I can't copy, but I'm going to keep moving so that there isn't that pause and stuff for the people that are watching. I believe it's live, yeah?
Yeah.
Any opportunity that I have had to just dive into the truth of this woman, whatever woman's story I'm telling, it has been... that is the thing for me. I'm not a fan, as you know, because I know you were told, I'm not a fan of watching my work. It's just not, because for me, the truth, the joy, the passion, the spiritual heart calling stuff is in the actual moment that the work is being created. Mm-hmm. Everything else is, when I'm forced to look at it because I have to edit something or whatever, I see all the other stuff, but the joy is in the work. So as long as I'm able to produce that opportunity, to create that opportunity, I mean, Ray Donovan and West Wing was it was another level,
you were a fan, of artistic, correct?
Huh?
You were a fan, right, of the West Wing when you got that role?
Yeah. I remember, I was living in Pennsylvania and in the Poconos, and I would watch that show and then I was in a relationship. It ended, and my manager said, "You know what? I think we have done as much as we can do in New York. I think it's time to move to LA." I was like, "What?" Freaked me out. I was like, "Let's do it." And I get here, and within the first month, she had this audition set up for me. And I was like, all right, whatever. I'm just going to, I'm really just, planting my seeds. I'm not going to get this part, but I'll audition for it because, there's no way I'm going to get this. And I got it. And I was flabbergasted completely. And I spent the majority of my time in awe of everyone. Just everyone and the experience. And boy, did that push me. Those walk and talks, oh my goodness. They were fantastic. They were thrilling. You had to do it all on one take. You would just walk and the camera would just follow you. I think they really invented this walk and talk thing all in one take. And it was just so challenging and beautiful. It was fire. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. But then Ray Donovan was beautiful too. And The Wire was my first major role. And that was like that. There were a whole bunch of firsts in that.
And that was shot at home in Maryland, right?
Yeah. Isn't that cool? Isn't that wow? That was so cool. I didn't know Baltimore though. So that was cool to be able to go back to Maryland and see Baltimore and stuff. But they've all served me so much because they've all brought me here.
Yeah. Well, working with, John Voight and Liev Schreiber and The West Wing, that first day, being a fan, were you just sweating and nervous? And
I perceived myself to be so out of my element, and I spent too many days. I'll tell you. It's just, forget embarrassment. Sorry, I won't curse.
You can.
Oh, good, because I curse. Beyond so I remember the first, I don't know how long, but whatever director, Alex, no, I don't remember the director's name, but I said to him, I'm just so grateful that, that you guys hired me, and I'm, thank you. And this is really, and he was like, great. You're wonderful. I didn't do you any favors. You earned the job. I was like, okay, great. So the second day I come to set, I just wanted to let you know that I'm so good. The third day, and he said, okay, stop. I didn't do you a favor. I gave you the job you auditioned for, and I need you to embrace that. Oh. And from then on, it was like, okay. I needed that. I needed somebody to say, I'm not doing, you earned this. Step into your light and do your work. It was incredibly humbling and an amazing lesson.
Did I know you don't watch yourself, but did you continue to watch The West Wing?
Not when I did it. No. No. The interesting thing that when you're in it, it's not as romantic anymore. It's and I was there for the day to day, and I watched it afterwards. Oh my God, yeah, afterwards, yeah.
Not while you were in the throes of it.
Not at all. No.
That's so funny. So Snowfall debuted in 2017. So do you remember when you first heard about the role of Cissy Saint?
Yeah. It's interesting. I tell you my life. I had no idea that one of the funny things about Snowfall is I had no idea that Tommy Schlamme was the executive producer of Snowfall. I had no idea. I didn't know who he was. And for those who don't know Tommy Schlamme, understandably, he was the creator, one of the creators of West Wing. I came on to West Wing, whatever, season 5 or 6 or whatever. And by then he had left to work on other projects. So I had not ever met him. And then, as spirit would have it, he was one of the creators or executive producers on Studio 60. Do you remember that one? It was...
Sounds familiar.
It was Matthew, is that his name? Studio 60. And that other brother name. Studio...
something is ringing a bell now.
Studio 60 something. Anyway, he had I worked on another project that he was an executive producer on, but I had not ever met him. So I come to Snowfall and there's this tall, curly-haired white man sitting in front of me, and I didn't realize. I'm so grateful I didn't realize who he was, because I would have been so nervous. But it was another audition. It wasn't, like, oh, it was John Singleton. I knew John Singleton was attached, but it was just another audition. And I remember when I tested for it with Damson, because they were trying me on with him, and there was an energy there between us that clicked immediately.
Well, there is an energy in every scene that Damson and you share. It works quite well as mother and son. It really, 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 really does.
Oh, thank you. I enjoy him.
Well, yeah. What's he like? I hope he's nothing like Franklin.
No. He is. I had an opportunity to meet his mom, and she's a lovely lady. She came to one of the premieres. He's high energy. He's one of our future directors, not saying Snowfall, but this industry's future directors. He pays attention to every detail of filmmaking. He is way more aware of stuff. When I'm at work, I shut out everything and I'm focused on the truth of the story that I need to tell. He is looking at the camera. He's looking at the angles. He's so involved in everything because he's preparing himself for his future. I get it. And his love is Sidney Poitier and Denzel Washington, and he will one day work with them, no doubt. But he's just a joy. I have a great, he's brand new, and just is soaking up our culture. He's soaking up our knowledge, because many of us are older than he. And he's incredibly respectful of everyone's journey, and he's just trying to absorb as much as he can.
Well, that's a smart, in any profession, if it's a profession you want to be in, you take advantage of being in those spaces with these incredibly talented people. So it's nice to hear that. What did you, like about Cissy at the beginning, that made you say yes to this role?
Apart from the fact that I needed a job?
Yeah.
I like the dynamic between she and her son. I can relate to that. I am a single mother. I liked that I was telling the story of a single woman who is I love Cissy is, love Cissy's strength. I love her determination. I love her straight upness. I love her.
She tells it like it is. Certainly does.
She's a sister that I've known in the neighborhoods that I've lived in, and I love that I get to represent them.
I love that. Did you know the direction that Cissy would go in from the beginning?
Yes. John Singleton took us all aside and told us where she would be going, where our characters would be going. So I was aware. And yeah, gosh, I can't give anything away. So
no,
yeah.
But it's a great journey. And is there something you're able to do, or as an actress, that you to take us, the viewer, on that journey? Is there something you do to prepare? Like, was there anything you're able to do for something like this?
No. I've always said, and I really do believe that the truth, the only work in something like this, I mean, if we're dealing with accents or stuff like that, that's different. That's another preparation. But as far as the character is concerned, as long as the writing is so good that all I really need to do is fully surrender myself to the words on the page, and her truth comes out. Really, that's and that's a credit to all of the writers.
Yeah, it is true. I mean, what is so good? I mean, not only what a great cast, but it's the writing. The writing has kept me coming back for 4 seasons. This season, well, at the heart, we all know Cissy is a good person, but she's become, at the end of last season, became more involved with Franklin's business dealing, trying to steer him more into legitimate business. Is there a way to, is it just the writing, or is there a way that you can work to keep that balance? Because he's in kind of over his head.
Yeah, that's a tough one. It's I mean, when John spoke to us about, where the arc, he gave us an arc, the nuances you find out episode per episode, season per season. And it is challenging. It is challenging. Let me say, well, again, as an artist, you just surrender to the work that you have committed yourself to do, right? And to see what these two people, and two people I mean Cissy and Franklin, are going through, the pain, the fear, the frustration, the anger that they are both going through. I hope is universally heartbreaking. I was going to say, certainly as an African woman, understanding that frustration, living, but I think because this story, even though we focus on South Central, is a universal story.
Oh, totally.
Yeah. I was looking at, there's a show on A&E called Intervention 911, where they talk about, where they address addicts and the journey that they've gone through, and seeing if doing interventions for them to help them get clean, and they run the gamut, culturally, racially. I mean, it runs the gamut, and that is the struggle. I was listening to some of the stories that these wives and fathers and mothers are talking about they've been through with their daughter or son, and it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's heartbreaking watching. I mean, you guys, you do it so well, and you really do. You see the love. Cissy, she's a mother tigress. She definitely is. But you were just talking like it. It's the written word on the page that leads you there. But something like the Comey Rule and playing a real person, was there something you did to play Loretta Lynch?
Respectfully. Well, no. Okay. So I watched a lot of footage on Ms. Lynch. I saw the interviews that she did during that time and before. But I honestly can't say that I tried to be Loretta Lynch, because I don't think for that particular script, it didn't feel to me that they were asking for me to bring Loretta Lynch to the stage. It felt like they wanted the essence of Loretta Lynch's journey to the stage. And again, that lends itself to the truth of the moment and the words on the page. And once again, the writing was strong and the moments were clear. The fellow artists, we were bouncing off. It was fabulous working with Holly Hunter. She is tremendous, and we just vibed off each other really beautifully. It was a beautiful vibration. She is brilliant. And that's what made the moments. That's what made the scene. That's what told the story.
And then the little things with Denzel and Rami. What was that experience like?
Rami's a lovely gentleman.
Talented as well.
Absolutely. I'll tell you, working with B is what he wanted me to call him, B. It was an incredibly beautiful spiritual experience, because he is very spiritually conscious, and we had lots of talks about that in between takes and after. And he is an incredibly generous artist. Once he sees that you have your game together, because don't come to set without your game being together. But once
it's a good message for everybody, isn't it?
Oh, don't show up for work without your game being on. Just don't. It's you're really going to humiliate yourself. But don't. Anyway, once he respects where you're coming from, once he sees, once you are, it was a beautiful artistic exchange. Absolutely. Some of our scenes, unfortunately, got cut. But again, this is another example of why the end result that we see, that the audience sees, is not, for me, the most important. It is the moments that happen in the now that are the ones I take home and are thrilled by. I remember having dinner the next day or something with two of my girlfriends, Nancy and Vanessa, and I was just exploding with the just joy, and it was like a meditation. The conversations in front of the camera and behind the camera were just so filled with effortless truth, authenticity, and you're right there with him. You're right there. It was beautiful, and I loved it. And yeah, I have that forever.
You do have that forever. Hopefully it may not be the last time you get to do that with him again.
We'll see. Time will tell.
Do you have an ultimate stage role you'd love to play?
I look forward to bringing a Shakespearean story to the screen in the period. I know we're really good at modernizing Shakespeare, but I would like to bring. When I was at Howard, I was introduced. I was introduced to Shakespeare in high school, but I performed a scene from A Winter's Tale, Hermione, a monologue, and with Al Freeman Jr. He became an instructor and eventually the dean of the drama department at Howard. And Al Freeman Jr. played Elijah Muhammad in Malcolm X. Mm-hmm. Wonderful actor and a wonderful teacher. He introduced me to the camera when I was at Howard. And I really loved playing that role. So I really look forward to doing Shakespeare on the camera. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I love that. I was watching a behind the scenes video they released for Snowfall. So tonight's episode is the 4th, and you guys were shut down after shooting, I think, the 4th episode because of the pandemic.
Oh, we didn't even shoot it. For me, the majority of my scenes from episode 4, we shot one day. So this is episode 4, this one?
Tonight,
right, okay,
yep.
So we shot one day, and then the shutdown happened, and then we came back, however many months later. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
What was it like returning? Were you ready?
Oh yeah, we were hungry to get back to work. Are you kidding me? It was a scary time. For all of us artists. I mean, whenever I think about the journey my fellow artists have had to go through on Broadway, my goodness. I mean, no work at all. That's painful. I mean, I am
it's
in
a year
such
today,
an incredibly
basically.
Blessed.
It's a year today.
Really,
I think, since the Broadway around today, this week for sure, I believe. Yeah, it's crazy.
Imagine, well, many people don't have to imagine. It's the idea of not only is your passion, your calling, your work, your livelihood taken away from you like nothing. Because when the theaters closed, it didn't just close on Broadway. Performing arts closed everywhere. Nobody had a job. No singers, no actors, no production, no lighting, no nothing. Everybody lost their jobs. So I was grateful to know that FX, because we were like, is everything going to be canceled? I mean, are they just going to write it off, or what's going to happen? And then, FX has been incredibly, Disney, FX, because they all work together now. They continue to pay us, while we waited, which we were so grateful for, because there were many shows that just shut down and said, peace be with you, we'll catch you on the next side, but no paycheck. So, I mean, it was it was an incredible privilege to still be employed, to have a job, and to know that we had something to come back to.
Yeah, and
this show is moving.
Yeah, watching the behind the scenes video.
Oh no,
they had it down to. They had the protocols down. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. It's a little choppy, but I know what you're asking. We were schooled as we were prepared to get back. We had Zoom meeting after Zoom meeting about protocol, about You know, you wear, and we could only wear their masks, the masks that Disney provided. There was no touching, no 6 feet apart. You had to walk, you know, what do they break it up? Like the actors had to be in zone A and this was zone B, and you couldn't fraternize with zone B if you were in zone. But we did it. We did it.
Yeah,
we did it happily. We did it willingly. And not only the actors, every member of the cast and crew committed as an ensemble to this safe space, because we understood it is the only way that we have a job. It's not a matter of, and it's not only on set, but we all committed to engaging in a life outside of the work we're doing on set that would continue to protect ourselves and each other. Because if an actor gets COVID, we're done. All those scenes have to be pushed or written out or whatever. So we all had this pact that we are going to hold this down. We are going to make this happen so that we can continue telling this story. It was beautiful. It was a lot of love. It was a lot. I felt incredibly loved and taken care of. I felt safe in my environment. I felt safe coming home. I felt safe interacting, not only did I had my pods of people who understood safety in the same language I did, but then I had that pod of understanding at work. I felt very safe in my world.
And we're lucky now. That's why I had reached out to FX. I had seen the commercials that it was returning, and I was so excited. Everybody was really excited. I must ask you before we go today, Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. I didn't watch the show, but I'm interested. Loved watching you sing. What a power voice you have.
Thank you.
Was that a great experience?
Yes, it was. I didn't realize when I moved to Los Angeles, I surrendered to the fact that, my singing life was over. I worked, in New York, and I sang for a bit, and I didn't realize how much I missed it until I had the opportunity to do it with Crazy Ex. And it really is another aspect of my art. It's another aspect of being a vessel that really just, I love singing. I really do. I don't do it often. It's not the way my career has gone, but the opportunities that I get to do it really do fill me up. There's something very beautiful about singing. There's just a energy that it's precious, and I'm grateful to have it.
Well, that role just seemed, a lot of the roles that you play are much more darker, where you don't necessarily get to smile as much, and you have such a beautiful smile. So like to see you, and then it broke out into that, gorgeous gown was really.
Oh yeah! Wow! Divas wrote Rachel. It was a great role to play. I loved having fun with Rebecca. I really enjoyed that. She really is a powerhouse. And then I became friends with we did work once on in Crazy Ex. Donna Lynn Champlin, who plays, I don't even know the name of the character that she played, her best friend. Anyway, I developed a lifelong friendship with Donna Lynn, one of the other beautiful experiences from Crazy Ex.
That's great. Is there something you learned about yourself during the pandemic that you would say you didn't know before?
The pandemic? I call it the lockdown revolution, because it's simultaneous. And the revolution was a huge part of my consciousness. when I was stripped away from a schedule, I was stripped away from everything that I understood defined me as me. I no socializing, no script, no school. Motherhood became effortless because nobody knew what the hell we were doing any damn place. Yeah, whatever, you just do that. It forced me to question, without all of these rules, who are you? If it was an opportunity to redefine myself. And I realized that there were truths within me that I had not given myself permission to live in. And I started writing, which is something that I have been in awe of. I mean, I talk about writers with the immense respect that they deserve, but I didn't ever see that I could be that. And then I was asked to write, and I started writing, and it has been beautiful. So the lockdown revolution and the revolution as well. My consciousness, as I said, during this time after Snowfall lockdown, it has been an empowering opportunity for me to reclaim that aspect of my Africanness that I felt I needed to diminish in order for me to work in this industry. And not only a part of my Africanness, but a part of my true self. Mm-hmm. This experience, this last year, has asked me to reclaim all those aspects that I put in the drawer. And it has been incredibly empowering.
I love that. And when you say writing, is it stories, or are you attempting scripts?
Scripts and stories.
Awesome.
However it's coming out. I have all of these ideas now that it's really amazing when you simply give yourself permission to say yes to yourself. Just say yes, and then are willing to listen. It's amazing the stuff that has been living inside of me that I just didn't think I had. And now those things are, or I knew I had, but I just didn't give myself permission because I saw myself as being this. But then I realized that, yes, I am this, but I'm also this and this and this and this and a whole bunch of other shit too. and they all have space to exist. So why not?
You opened every door. Opened every door.
Beautiful. It's been a beautiful experience. So I'm standing outside of myself, watching what is coming out. So stories, yes. Scripts, yes. What else? Yes. I'm just saying yes to whatever, however the words come out.
I couldn't think of a better way to end this. You are incredible, inspiring, beyond belief, and that smile just, really makes me smile. Thank you so much for the time today. Really a pleasure. Everybody, tune into Snowfall for the 4th episode tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern and Pacific.
You are,
Michael,
my love. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much
for bringing me here.
I loved it. Stay well and keep writing. I can't wait to see what it is. So
thank you, my love. I will.
Okay. Bye-bye. Thanks everybody for watching today. Michael Hyatt, you are really an inspiration. Again, Snowfall tonight, 10 p.m. Eastern and Pacific, and tomorrow FX on Hulu. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel right below. Turn on the notification. March is a great month. We have some great guests coming up. Have a great afternoon, everybody. Bye-bye.